Hello guys, welcome to my next session, that is threat modeling. Here where potential threat are identified, categorized and analyzed. So it is very important to find the threat and categorize it, like what level of threat it is, level 1, 2, 3, 4. Categorize is very important, and analyze it then. So for example, Microsoft uses a security development life cycle to consider security at each level is called SD3 plus C. So that is what Microsoft do use. SD3 is like secure by design, secure by development and secure by default communications. So if we have analyzed threat during design and development, then it is referred a defensive approach. So if there is a threat because the design is not good and development, then defensive approach. And if we analyze the threat after development, then it is considered as adversarial approach. For example, ethical hacking, penetration testing, source code review and fudge testing will help you to find the threat is there. Like penetrating, we are penetrating, for example, this is our website here, okay, www.abc.com. so I am the user, I do not have access to change the website, but I am penetrating it and I am finding a way to and once I in the website I can make any changes. So then I will suggest that that particular port is open or that particular authentication is open, so need to be identify it, close it. So identify the threat, determine and diagram the threat, reduce it and rank it. Ranking is very important, need to rank it, because if we use a ranking system, we can easily find out that what attention this threat required. Okay, if it is a normal level of threat, engineer can deal with it. If it is a very high level of threat, I think the full team need to be up and try to neutralize it as soon as possible. So ranking of threat is important. Identifying threat is the first thing here. Spoofing is attack. Spoofing is attack like user 1 is sending data to user 2, they are connected with a switch, and user 3. So they use a MAC address to send data. For example, this PC1 is telling, okay, I am sending data to PC2 with particular MAC address. So PC3 will acquire his MAC address. With the help of some software, he will change and he will pretend that 3 is equal to 2, that I am the 2, and he will be able to access the data. That is called as a spoofing. There are multiple ways to be have a spoof in that, but this is the one example I talk about. Next is tampering. Any action resulting in unauthorized changes or manipulation of data, whether in transit or storage. Tampering is used to falsify communication or alter static information, such as attack or violation of integrity. So tampering data I have explained earlier as well, like user 1 is sending something to the user 2. So what user 2 is receiving, he will check the hash algorithm with the 1, that okay, that data is sent by the PC1 if the data and hashing algorithm match. If not, data has been tampered and he will discard the data. Next is the third one is here, that is called repudiation, the ability for a user or attacker to deny having performed an action or activity. So you or attacker, like attacker can deny that I have not done it, or a user can deny I have not done it. So but the logs are there for that to find about it. Next is information disclosure, the revelation or distribution of private, confidential or controlled information to external or unauthorized entity. This could include customer identity information, financial information or proprietary business. So there is a threat for information disclosure, for getting information of a particular employee from the company's server, that can be done, information disclosure. Next is there is a DOS attack, denial of services, a very common attack for shutting down a computer for a while or website. So what does happen in this DOS attack is, this is a server and there are user who accessing it, and they need to access it to work for the company. Okay, but what happened, there's a internet is connected, and outside the internet are user at home, they are also accessing it, but somehow there is a user who try to send thousands of packets to the server, and server cannot handle those packets. So the CPU will be 100%, hard drive will be 100% usage, and it will shut down or freeze or hang temporarily. And if it freeze for temporarily, these user will not be able to access it. So to prevent that attack, to put some firewall or to do other activities, so that kind of attack is called as a denial of services DOS attack. The next one is elevation of privileges, an attack where a limited user account is transformed into account with greater privileges. Okay, so for example, here there is a user, this is the server for first of all, and these are the users. This user have a very basic permissions, that user can log in and open their Word, PowerPoint, Excel or application file. Apart from that, the user have no other permission, but somehow a user gain access and he make himself as an administrator or a power user. So what happen is, when a user become a power user, this user is a normal user, but somehow he managed to get a power for administrator or a power user. He can do whatever with the server, like he can add new user account, he can reset the password for the user number 1, he can delete the user 1, he can access his files. So that is called elevation of privileges, like a normal user who get more access. So performing reduction analysis, guys, the next step is threat modeling, is to perform reduction analysis. Reduction analysis is also known as decomposing the application, system or environment. The purpose of this task is to gain greater understanding of the logic of the product as well as its interaction with external elements. So there are the 5 key concepts. The number 1 is trust boundary, any location where the level of trust or security changes. Data flow path, the movement of the data locations. Input point, location where external input is received. Privilege operation, any activity that require greater privilege than of a standard user account or process, typically required to make system changes. Detail about security stance, any approach, the declaration of security policy, security foundation and assumption. So you can perform a reduction analysis with the help of these 5 keys. Okay, so next is, we already spoke about it, the rank of threat, damage potential. If you look for the rank of threat, 4 is a very high, 3rd is again a high rank, and 2 is a medium level, and 1 is a low level threat. So damage potential, how severe is damage likely to be in the threat is realized. Reproducibility, how complicated is for the attacker to reproduce the exploit, and exploitability, how hard to perform the attack. Affect user, how many users are affected, and discoverability, how hard is for attacker to discover the weakness. After considering these points, guys, you know this, if you read them nicely, okay, I'm giving a time in the slide to read it, or you pause it and read. By looking to those things, we can rank the threat. Okay, suppose for example, hacker can exploit it very easily or quickly again and again, so it can be go to the toppest rank. Or hacker cannot exploit it and it is very easy for you to find, and there are not user who are affected, so it can be as a very low. But there are all the user in the network are affected, and it is very tough for you to find the threat, to neutralize it, and it is affecting the entire network, so it can be a very high rank. So that is how you can rank the threats. Some common technologies we use is asset is valuable things. Asset is anything within an environment that should be protected. Okay, for example, a computer file is an asset, network services, system resource, a program, process, a product, IT infrastructure, whatever you have, a server, computers, files, data, that is called as assets. So valuable things. And asset valuation equal to financial accounting. Asset evaluation is a dollar value assigned to an asset based on its actual costing here. So if a system will cost you $1,000, so assets you can say, okay, you have 30 system, 30 multiplied by $1,000 a file, a data will cost you what? Data is important, and the value of assets you actually can't calculate for the data, but yes, for the infrastructure and product you can. So these can include cost to develop, maintain, administer, advertise, support, repair and replace an assets. Okay, so asset is there for a firewall, so if you have a value of it and anyhow it goes crash or anything happen, you know the value of assets and you can buy new one and replace it. So you should have a good value of it already. And threat is harmful, potential to cause serious harm to your computer. A threat can cause any harm. It can be intentional or accidental. They can also be natural or man-made. So threat is of two types, natural and man-made, and sometime intentionally threat can delete, a hacker can delete crash your hard drive or everything, and sometime it happen with the accidental as well. There are another some common technology that is called vulnerabilities, is a flaw, loophole, oversight, error, limitation, weakness to a system. So you are using a system and it is vulnerable, like you need to make sure that all the ports or entrance to that particular system is being closed for the outside user. So you can penetrate it to find how vulnerable it is, how weak it is. There is a software for Microsoft that is called MBSA, Microsoft Baseline Security Analyzer. You can install, and that will help you to find the loopholes in your system, and it can tell you how much secure your system is, 70% or 80%, or what are the ports are open, you need to close them. Next is risk. Risk is responsible for likelihood that a threat will exploit a vulnerability to cause harm or asset. Risk is equal to threat multiplied by vulnerability or probability or impact. Next is, guys, a safeguard here. Safeguard or countermeasures is anything that removes or reduces vulnerability or protects against one or more specific threat. Safeguards are only mean by which risk is mitigated or removed. So safeguard is nothing much, but if you are using Windows 10 in your computers, okay, so make sure your Windows 10 is up to date, update it once in a week, or use a antivirus, updated antivirus. The best companies who have a best review, for example eScan or Kaspersky, it can be used. Plus assign some policy on a server that who can access, or your computer who can access you or who cannot access you. And that is more important, this is inside the company, so make sure you are using the door card reader or a security guard, so who can protect your infrastructure as well. So not protecting your computer, but protecting the physical security, or protecting it with electrical fences here, protecting with the CCTV camera, and protecting with the physical security, that is the security guard. So that can becomes under the safeguard. Next again, that is an attack in the common technology. Attack is exploitation of vulnerability by a threat agent. Attacking means hacker is trying to attack, hacker is trying to find the loopholes, and through that he enter and he can steal or hack. Breach is occurrence of security mechanism being bypassed, okay, so bypassing some security. So for example, in the physical security, the security guard is the one whoever's come, he keep frisking them, or metal detector, but somehow the power is not there and he will quickly enter, or the guard is not on his position, is bypassing him, or there could be anything in the system, bypassing a firewall or bypassing a security device. So guys, that is all about the chapter 1 ended with some common technology. Next session we will be the domain 1. Chapter number 2 will be personal security and risk management concept. Thank you.